Miami-Dade to the Member Connection. Before we get started, a word from one of our sponsors.
This is garbage, and you probably think all of it just goes to waste. But in Miami-Dade, we convert most of what you throw away into energy. In our waste-to-energy facility, we can turn about 90% of your everyday garbage into reusable fuel.
Levels look good.
That creates clean electricity for our community. Enough energy to power 35,000 homes. Pretty illuminating, huh? In Miami-Dade, nothing goes to waste.
Hi, and welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection. And you know, I just learned something new just a little bit before we get started, but I'm not going to let you know what that newness is just yet. But this morning, you know, I have the proud honor of having Mr. Ronald Thompkins here with us with WatsonRice Accounting Advisors. And, you know, I'm sitting here reading, and I should know this because you've been around quite a while doing what you do.
Yeah, since 1971.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite a record.
Yeah.
When you talk about businesses, and I'm going to get back to that, but BCA WatsonRice LLP is one of the nation's oldest culturally diverse public accounting firms. Their firm's nearly 50 years of experience in providing auditing, accounting, tax, and consulting services to non-for-profits, to organizations, employee benefit plans, and government clients. 50 years.
Yeah, we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year.
That's amazing because you know we talk about business, and being that you are a CPA and you are an accountant, and what they say, most businesses don't last the first year or first 2 years.
First year.
Wow. So what gives you that longevity?
Well, one of the things we've prided ourselves on, Eric, is we try to give our clients value for quality service for the value. And we've prided the long-term relationships we've had with clients, both on a national level as well as in the individual offices in which we practice. Tom Watson and Robert Rice, the two founding partners, they prided themselves on just relationships, and that has carried over for over 50 years.
Wow. And at the end of the day, we know it's all about relationships.
Exactly.
And you said in the communities that you serve, and where are those communities?
We are headquartered in New York City, Newark, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and in Florida, we're in Aventura as well as Miramar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's 50 years. That's a lot of growth as well.
It sure is.
Yeah. So I know accounting's had a lot of work to do. Obviously, it's just tax season is wrapping up, at least for individuals. For businesses that on a different time schedule. But for the last couple of years, we've all been challenged. And one of the biggest challenges that we've ever seen in terms of businesses being shut down because of COVID.
Exactly.
And I know that you, as an accountant, as CPA, were very much entrenched in that process. What was it like for you?
Well, one of the things that became interesting, Eric, we had to pivot almost on a short-term basis. As I indicated, we prided ourselves on relationships, contact with our clients, and we had to go from that to remote working.
Right.
And so did our clients. And so the challenge for us, as well as our clients, was trying to maintain the same level of service, but in a remote and safe environment.
Right.
And with a lot of the government regulations that had come out, we had to continue to deal with the evolution of those. And one of the things at the conferences that we as CPAs typically have conducted over this 2-year period of time, one of the things that's been constantly emphasized is when, on the one hand, it was very positive that the government was able to immediately come out with the type of aid that they came out with for businesses,
right,
as well as for individuals. But knowing government, federal government, the way we do, the backlash of that is going to be some heavy audit requirements behind that.
Okay.
And so one of the things we are closely working with all of our clients to alert them to is that you got to make sure your records are definitely in order to survive audits that may be coming behind us. Yeah.
Okay. So the point that you're making, a lot of folks were able to access dollars from PPP or EIDL, but now, as what it was, the saying goes, the chickens come to roost.
Exactly.
And so the fact that you were awarded however dollar amount that you were awarded,
Mm-hmm.
the important thing is that you kept records of how you spent that money.
Exactly.
Because PPP was really there to pay your employees, to keep them on.
Exactly.
And so if you didn't do that, there may be some challenges that you're going to see coming forward.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of businesses had challenges because we go back to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of small businesses had, and I'm not going to call any particular bank names, but a lot of small businesses had bank accounts at a certain bank, but they didn't have the relationship with the banks. And they were not able to access PPP through those banks. And they may have had quite a bit of money in those banks, but again, they didn't have those relationships. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, one of the things about the loans as they were as they rolled out, and one of the things that Small Business Administration tried to build into the process was your access to the funds was not necessarily through the bank you may normally do banking with. So you were able to tap into other banks that you may not have a relationship with to access those funds, but getting it through your bank that's familiar with you and you familiar with them made it a lot easier process, but it was not the only process how you could access the funds. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that to your point, CDFIs were loaning money. I know one that I will call is Lendistry.
Yes.
And it really helped a lot of the Black businesses to access PPP and EIDL. And Lendistry just recently announced that they're joining forces with One United Bank.
Yes.
Our good friend here, Terry Williams, here in South Florida, they have offices, the main offices in Boston. They're located in LA and here in Miami. But they just announced that they are doing business loans through Lendistry because One United wasn't doing business loans. They were doing home loans and other type loans, but they weren't doing business loans. So now they're getting ready to do loans up to, I believe, $5 million, if I read properly. So how important is that for a business to be able to have access to a loan?
It's almost a lifeline. One of the things, even for a firm our size, our business is pretty much runs on a cycle. Doing the way loans play a significant part is when our cash flow is not as great as it usually is, and during the business season, we need funds to kind of tide us over to it for that season to kick back in. And if it was not for the banking relationships we have, we would not be able to retain employees and continue the high level of service that we've come to know. But one of the things, every opportunity I get to talk to businesses that are seasoned businesses as well as folk that are contemplating going into business, it's one of the first relationships you need to make sure you tap into is a banking relationship.
Right. And the other thing about loans, I would say the best thing is to have access to it and not need it versus needing it and not having access. In other words, you didn't do your homework. As I say, a lot of times is having the back of your house in order. Exactly. And so you want to talk about that a little bit?
One of the things I'll never forget, Eric, is when we first started the Miami practice, myself along with Bernard Kuhn and William Washington, we were both very seasoned CPAs, and we had and being as knowledgeable as we were, one of the first things we decided to do was make sure we had a banking relationship in order from day one. So one of the first things we did, even before launching the firm, we made sure we had a line of credit established with what was in place at that time, Southeast Bank. I don't know.
Right. Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
And so we were able to get a nice line of credit with Southeast Bank, and had done, and probably being CPAs in both seasons, we overly probably forecasted how much we needed. But but I always value that relationship, and that loan that we had from Southeast Bank is what really carried us over and got us going. Yeah.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges with small business when it comes to accounting and maintaining the records?
The biggest challenge is the with small businesses, I think, is especially when they're just starting out and they're trying to make a trade-off between cost and benefit. And so as things start to get tight financially, one of the services they feel that is not as much needed as others, their products, their employees, and that type of thing, is the need for accounting services.
Really?
Oh yeah, and so
I would think that would be one of the ones that you maintain.
Well, that's the one probably you should want to maintain. But as things start to get tight, it's one of the ones that, and a lot of times businesses look at CPA services, accounting services, as a commodity. They start looking for the cheapest thing. Who can I pay the cheapest and still get something, as opposed to what value do I get for my money?
Right.
And most CPAs that are worth their money will kind of convince the client that here's the value of my services. This is we're partners in this together, and as long as we got each other's back, we're going to make it through this. And if nothing else, the pandemic has really forged that relationship and brought to light the importance of that relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Because you definitely had to have, as I say, your house in order to be able to access these monies. And as you said, now the auditing after the fact.
Exactly.
It's been a couple of years, and now the government's going to start looking at your records to make sure you've done exactly what you said you were going to do with those monies.
Exactly.
You know, when we were first started, I said I learned something new. And I'm really proud to sit here with you because, I talk about the chamber, the fact that it's been around since 1974. And, you think about the chamber was named the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami County, it was Dade County. And it wasn't until about maybe 15 years ago or so that they changed the name to Miami-Dade.
Exactly.
So you guys, when here I'm saying you guys, so this thing that I just learned is that you were part of the beginning of the chamber.
Yes, I was the first secretary of the board.
Wow.
When Dave Fincher became the first president.
Right.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So tell me a little bit, what was it like back then, starting the chamber?
Well, it was some exciting time. We had some businesses that were really kind of the pillars of the community. Dave, he had the security firm.
Right.
George H. Green had a very well-known insurance practice going, and Hank Mack also was a budding accountant in the community at the time. And one of the things we did is we really, I think at the core was just and although these firms were kind of seasoned in their own right, one of the things Dave and the board wanted to make sure we did was bring other businesses along.
Right.
And so just that one of the organizations I belong to is the National Association of Black Accountants, and our logo is one hand reaching down and pulling another one up.
Right.
And I think in a special kind of way, that was what signaled that was kind of the same motto as the Miami-Dade Chamber when it started.
Right.
We wanted to help each other.
And again, think back, this is 1974. I think about 7th Avenue and all the businesses that were along 7th Avenue, all the businesses that were on 62nd Street.
Mhm.
That was the heart of our business community.
Exactly.
Tell people, what was that like?
That was a very vibrant times, Eric. Even probably until last month, one of the things I'll never forget is even though our individual practice was pretty much in different locales around Miami-Dade County, I found myself almost on a weekly basis then, as well as still, like I said, until a week ago. I don't know if you remember Mop City.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Johnny, of course. The Cadillac seats. Remember when the Cadillac seats first came in?
Exactly. Johnny Chile is still my bro.
Okay, yeah.
And so I found myself in
probably one of the original businesses that were back in 74 that's still on 7th Avenue.
Oh yes. And then on Fridays I found myself there on 62nd Street, Davis Brothers.
Davis. Oh man. Yeah, Dave. Oh gosh, man. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah. So
the twins.
Exactly.
Oh man, you talking about some good eating.
Oh yeah. So things were exciting back then, and probably I think what was probably the things where things dramatically changed was after 1980 when we had the riots.
Right.
But until then, things were really exciting in that particular area of the county. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned the riots, and obviously the riots was very impactful on our community in terms of, to your point, of businesses being challenged. What would you say, again, having a Mop City still around, obviously Miami Times,
Mhm.
they've been around, probably one of the oldest businesses in our community.
Mhm.
What would you say, again, as far as longevity, what does a person or a business need to really put in place to look to the future?
I think the important thing now as we look to the future, Eric, is businesses as we've historically known them, for them to evolve and be a really competitor in the future, got to learn to think differently. I think, especially for businesses, minority businesses, we got to learn to, as we were talking about earlier, I think what's going to increase our chances of survival is consolidation. We got to learn to trust each other, do
That's
more
a big
business,
challenge.
more business with each other,
Right.
and also bring talent together in one place. I think the days when you have one sole proprietor trying to do it all on their own.
Right.
I think those days are probably long gone. I think for the future, when you're competing for products, you're competing for talent in your workplace, you got to learn to bring all those resources closer together and consolidation.
Well, you got a little bit of time left. If you wanted to leave something with our audience, how can they get in touch with you? And what would be the last parting words you would like to share?
Well, we're located, as I indicated, we're located locally in Aventura as well as in Miramar. And I can be reached at, and one of the interesting things about relationships, as we've indicated earlier in our business, we typically give our clients not only business phone number, but we give them my cell phone number.
Right.
You could probably see on the card that I gave you.
Yeah, I actually gave it to you.
Yeah. One of the first numbers on there is the cell phone number,
right,
because we believe in 24/7 service.
No, that's
and
great.
So one of the things I just want to leave with the audience is if you're interested in services of a CPA nature of any kind, we full service, we do it all. And with the big discussion in the marketplace now being cybersecurity, we actually, that's a service also we provide. And so I can be reached at 305-962-2721. That's my cell phone number.
No, that's great.
All right.
Well, this has been the Member Connection. We are having our business leaders lunch and symposium on May 20th. Check in with the chamber and find out more information. 305-751-8648 or www.m-d